intellectual people out there refer to them as animation. I think cartoons and animation has a nice place in everybody's heart, especially if you grew up on media, like I'm sure most of us did. And it'd be cool to explore some of the things about it, like its origins, its impact, projects we like, just anything that comes up in terms of animation. And I think we'll have a good time. It's had a global impact and like a nearly universal impact on us. So I think it'd be cool to talk about. Oh, hey. What's up, Ben? How you doing? Hey, that's the man I want to talk to.
What's up?
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good to see you. Hey, everybody. This is my friend Ben.
Hello.
Ben's an animation man. He's a cartoon man himself.
That's what they call me. That's what it says on the job description. Good.
Dude, nice. You got some coffee, I see.
Some coffee.
Well,
cheers.
then you're in the right place.
To our health and yours. And maybe a little bit of coffee jitters in between.
Just a few coffee jitters in between. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Dude, nice.
Just got out of the DMV.
Oh, how was that?
Smooth as hell, baby.
Smooth as hell.
Or at least I like to try to make it as smooth as I could.
Yeah. California DMV is doing pretty well. Good job, California DMV.
Wasn't bad.
No.
Could have been worse.
Yeah.
But
that's cool. Hey, well, this is Coffree with John, and we're talking about animation today.
Nice.
So you're a good man to have here.
And that's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. What's for those that you guys, of course, you don't know Ben Adams. It's kind of a big deal in his industry. I'm gonna do a little bragging for him. He's a Cal Arts trained animator, and he won two Emmy Awards with the regular show.
No, one with regular show, and one I actually copped when I was in high school for a public service announcement.
What? You're doing a public service announcement? Dude, conscientious and talented. So he's got two total. He's got one from the regular show, one for doing a PSA. You can debate which you think's more important.
Champion of the people, baby.
Heyo! Dude, how many times do you think you've drawn those guys?
It's too early to do math, and I haven't had coffee yet. But I mean, 7 seasons plus a little bit in the 8th. I've drawn them. A handful of times.
Just a handful of times.
A healthy handful of times. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite character that you've drawn?
I think my mind immediately goes to Muscle Man from regular show, just because he's so ridiculous.
You know who else is ridiculous?
He's so brash and just so overweight.
Yeah, he's just like a junkyard bully, abused elder kid taking it out on the world.
It looks like somebody just like took his nose and just went. And that's like his permanent expression is just his outlook on life. He's just like some kind of funny dumpster goblin.
He's a funny dumpster goblin. Yeah.
Oh man.
And he's ugly on top of it.
Yeah.
He's even ugly for
But he's confident.
He's confident, yeah. Well, that sometimes you have to resort to that.
Yeah.
You just gotta you get dealt with Del, and well, I think that's what's funny. That's what's one cool things about cartoons and animation. Is like you can do so much visually with the character.
Yeah.
Like you can't really make a dude do that in live action or something necessarily.
I mean, there might be people out there rocking it.
Yeah. It's like fertile ground for like making people deal with stuff like differences like that.
Yeah.
It's like this little dumpster goblin, just like, oh man, what's he gonna do? Well, he's just gonna bully everybody.
I mean, the important part about Muscle Man is he knows who he is.
He does. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is important. There's a lot of people out there who don't know. Just aimlessly wandering their existence, like.
Oh man, in a desert of non-awareness.
Yes. So, Muscle Man.
Muscle Man, here's to you.
Pros.
So where did they teach you that, like, the origin of animation comes in, for people? And by they I mean CalArts.
Oh, the origin. I mean, I think it kind of starts academically at like the zoetrope / flipbook stage in regards to like moving pictures. I mean, you could argue that film is essentially like a form of animation where each frame is, a frame of movement.
But animation being more specifically like hand drawn, right?
Yeah, and then you go into Gertie the dinosaur and Felix the cat, there on there forth. So history.
So like early 20th century is like when it starts coming in, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I know. I'm trying to think if there's anything important.
Oh, well, that's okay.
Yeah, essentially like. So for each second of animation, it requires 24 frames, which breaks down into drawings. So essentially, like each minute of animation just stack on a whole amount of drawings.
Yeah. Well, there's multiple drawings per scene because in that old style, you're just like layering on cells, right?
Oh yeah.
Why don't you, like, for those who don't know, maybe like give a brief description of the early hang in there with us, of the early stages of like cell animation or whatever.
Yeah, so they would hand draw everything first on paper, and they would flip it, which is a form of trying to time it in your mind, like of what you think it's going to look like, and then based off of how they would direct the timing is where they would shoot it, and they would run all of their tests. They would have to send it to a lab from an Oxbury camera down shooter to test the animation. Once the animation was approved and cleaned, they would send it to ink and paint, and they would literally like trace over the drawings on cells, which is like acetate, like clear plastic sheets, and then they would paint it and then send it back to the Oxbury to shoot it, and then it would all come out, and they would lay down sound, and
So is that like the early Disney studio times process, like Snow White, Alice in Wonderland? They would shoot like that.
Yeah.
So what was like? How long would it take from say start to finish for a Snow White or an Alice in Wonderland or something?
I mean, I think like a good estimate would probably be like I think for Snow White maybe like 3 to 4. That would probably be like 3 years maybe. But I mean that was the first animated feature film, so
yeah, they had to discover all the processes. And like,
I'm sure a fair amount of their time was experimenting on how to make it look right.
Yeah, not true. A fair amount of time was spent on doing lots and lots of drugs.
I almost took a sip of my oatmeal. Ooh, that's smooth, cold, healthy.
That's awesome. Well, I think it's cool because, I mean, at the time it was a big deal, but like really, in terms of the cultural and artistic impact of the first animated feature films, Disney was presenting surrealism as a theater experience really for the first time in that manner.
Yeah. Well, actually, Walt Disney thought that Fantasia was going to be like the new frontier of animated films. When he was making it, he foresaw it being something that would be a typical film in movie theaters,
Oh, that was going to be how films were going to be.
Yeah, he thought it was going to set the standard, but I think it ended up being a little too esoteric for most
Fantasia's
media
like
consumers.
Yeah, it's for those of you who haven't seen Fantasia, it's a series of it's an animated feature film, like it's about 2 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a series of what you call like vignettes, and it's where the Mickey and the Sorcerer's Apprentice piece comes from, and it's all set to these very classical scores, and it is just for starters it's a masterpiece, but it's also super duper deep, and it is just like the highest level, finest art that you could really take animation to. Stop me if I'm wrong.
Oh no, yeah, you're totally correct.
and it's like an overwhelmingly dense opus of animation and classical music.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to think that he thought that was going to be like a standard for entertainment at that level.
Yeah. I mean, there's some fantastic pieces of storytelling in there, along with like really nice abstract visuals. So I think it's like a really nice blend. And then like the image that always popped out to me is, I don't know if you have like what scene from Fantasia sticks out to you, but for me, like Night on Baltimore always emerges where like the demon bat like comes out of the mountain.
Oh yeah,
Just wreaks havoc. It's so epic.
Yeah, and so Night on Baldy Mountain, right? Baldwin Mountain. Yeah, that one sticks out because that one was really jarring to me. Because when the first time I saw it, I'd never heard that piece of music before, and then the visuals are so dramatic, and they're so blatantly like loaded with spirituality that there was this like, whoa, this is like a very good representation of evil incarnate and all these transformational things, and it was interesting because the whole thing led up to it. Yeah, that one's that's very impactful. Yeah. So yeah, Fantasia being basically like the height and the depth of where animations go.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
And then but Disney's not the end all be all. He's just a guy. He ushered it in, and then
He's just a guy.
He was an ambulance driver in World War I, and he's like, forget this. I need to draw cartoons, which it sounds pretty insane now that I think about it. But
Yeah.
he's a true American patriot. We salute you.
He dropped out of high school to join the war efforts. He's a badass,
right?
with a mustache to match.
He's got it. He did it, buddy. And for those of you who don't know, Walton, his brother Roy, helicopters. You can't shoot him down. You can't Uber him. What are you gonna do? Walt and his brother Roy, they were the ones who founded Cal Arts, and they stocked it with the original, the 12 dudes or whatever, the original animation faculty.
Well, what they wanted to do is they wanted to set up a collaborative space where every métiers could collaborate with each other. So it wasn't just focused on animation. It was like animation, dance, filmmaking, fine art. And I think they succeeded, doing it successfully.
I think there's been a long enough pedigreed line of successful artists of all disciplines come out of Cal Arts now that it's definitely ranks as a success.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We got some alum out there.
You guys do. You guys got some alum.
There's some alum.
It's pretty cool, and of course, that busted open the door for all the different everything from the profound to the profane versions of cartoons. Everything that we've had now, from Ren and Snippy to The Simpsons to South Park to wonderful masterpieces of visual representation.
Oh, in regards to just animation.
Yeah,
what's possible, what can be achieved.
Once the doors flew open and people were like, "Hey, cartoons, we're cool with them."
Yeah, I know. It's funny. I was talking about this a while ago. I was reminiscing about going to animation festivals when I was younger.
What was the first one you went to?
The first one I ever went to was Spike and Mike's Sick and Twisted Animation Festival. I was 13 years old, and a family friend invited me to go, and I had no idea what it was. I thought it was gonna be Saturday morning cartoons, but at night with your friends, and I show up, and there's just a bunch of punk rockers, downtown Sacramento punk rockers, and the dredges of the earth. No, just a bunch of cool and interesting people, and everybody was smoking weed and drinking, and then there was all this adult animated content, and I just, after that experience, I was like, how do I do that? How do I?
That's hilarious. Is there an actual cartoon or animated feature that you remember from that festival?
I think one that stands out like very prominently is Godzilla versus Bambi.
I remember that one.
It?
Yeah, that's the one where like Bambi's sitting there like
Just
eating
grazing
grass
in the
for
meadow.
like 10 seconds or whatever, and then the foot just stomps it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a classic.
Yeah.
So to recount, what got Ben into it was, so you were 10 or 11, Spike and Ike's Twisted Animation Festival. It was punk rockers, weed, and band getting stomped by Godzilla.
Yeah.
It was a match made in heaven.
Changed forever.
Changed forever.
Permanently changed. Yeah, that in combination with the same family friend actually, because I started looking into it a little bit more. And he was like, I actually know an animator, you know, and I was like,
Oh.
And he set up this trip with me and my dad to go visit him. His name is Joe Pearson. He lives in Venice Beach. Drives a red convertible. Simultaneously was working on DuckTales and Heavy Metal Magazine at the same time.
What?
I was like, whatever I have to do to be like that guy, that's what I'm gonna do. So
Oh, that's hilarious.
it's funny. There's like two things during your childhood that you think would damage you.
Yeah.
It's like things that the adults try to hide from you. These are things that
Yeah.
influenced me.
The counterbalancing of like innocence and unbridled rebellion.
Yeah.
It's a weird combination.
Yeah, that in combination with like 7 12-hour VHS tapes of uninterrupted Beavis and Butthead, bootlegged by my cousin Mike.
Oh man. Bootleg Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, it was epic.
Yeah. yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Good one, Ben.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, Beavis and Butthead. I remember when that hit culturally, it was like no one had seen anything like it before.
Oh yeah.
So, and that was another example of where the animation itself technically was very poor.
Yeah.
And but it ended up like visually representing sort of like what they meant.
Yeah.
You know, it was like no. This is like nah.
I mean, it's nice to have like different styles, you know.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show that you don't need to be, you know, the perfect artist to do something.
No, a lot of times the form follows the function.
Yeah.
And that ends up expressing itself in a truer sense, you know.
Yeah.
I think that was the case with Beavis and Butthead.
And around the time that Beavis and Butthead came out, you know, there was, I think MTV had I think they were getting sued or something like this. They were claiming that this kid burned down this trailer park as a result of watching Beavis and Butthead.
Isn't that the ultimate compliment?
I always have to tell people that I'm the result of Beavis and Butthead. That I am the kid who watched Beavis and Butthead and got inspired to become an animator as opposed to burning down the trailer park. So you're welcome.
You hear that, Mike Judge?
Oh yeah,
Mike Judge.
hero.
He's a hero. Here's a Mike Judge.
Oh yeah.
Cheers.
That's what we're working on.
Yeah, Mike Judge. God, we're lucky to be living in the time of Mike Judge.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Beavis and Butthead. The moral of the story: don't burn down the trailer park.
Yeah.
Don't
Just
burn it down.
Do something creative, maybe.
Do something creative, man. You know, get into it. Get into life. Choose life.
Always choose life.
Always choose life. Yeah, I mean I think especially in the American experience as a child, like cartoons like hold like one of the most special places because you have like weekday morning after school cartoons, and I don't know if it's a thing now, but like us growing up, we had Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes.
And Saturday morning cartoons to a child like me, that was prime time, baby. That was kids' prime time TV. Adults had weekday nights and Friday nights, whatever, and us kids had Saturday morning.
It was so special.
It was so special.
Yeah. To like get up early and just immediately have something to look forward to.
Just like, oh man, like you get up, you get like a sugary bowl of cereal, you get in and you have the lineup, and I don't know about you, but like I had a brother and 2 sisters, so we would have to negotiate the Saturday morning cartoon lineup because some of the cartoons were aimed for boys and some were aimed for girls. Some were for everybody.
Yeah.
But like my sister, she would like Strawberry Shortcake or Rainbow Bright or My Little Pony or Care Bears, and then like me and my brother would have like the G.I. Joe and Mask or like more like boy cartoons, action cartoons.
Yeah.
And so we'd have to like negotiate the schedule for the Saturday mornings.
man.
And you did not want to miss out. This was before TV. This was before the internet. You don't understand. It played once. You couldn't pause it. There were commercials. You had to be there or you were being square.
Be there or have a life.
Yeah, like I remember like, well, what were some of your Saturday morning cartoons that you got into?
I mean, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 100%. Ghostbusters. What are some of the others? It's been so long.
Was Batman? No, that was a week.
Batman was like prime time, a little bit. No,
Yeah.
actually, no, it wasn't prime time. It was like, it came on at like 3, 4.
That's a weekday afternoon one, right?
Yeah. That and like Animaniacs.
Animaniacs, what a classic.
Yeah. The whole WB animation blog was like really strong.
Yeah.
And then after that, like later after you got some homework done, The Simpsons for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
King of the Hill when that came in.
King of the Hill, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when they started like bringing in, when like things like South Park and The Simpsons and obviously like Family Guy, American Dad, that whole list of shows. I mean, there's so many good ones now.
Yeah.
I mean, modern day Netflix. I mean, good God, like F is for Family, BoJack Horseman. If I'm missing any, like throw them in there. I mean, there's a ton of great ones right now.
Yeah.
I think we're in a great age for quality animation right now.
Yeah.
At least I think. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot more platforms that content can be developed for, which is super fun and interesting to watch. See where it's gonna go. It's like a new frontier, you know. And there's more opportunities for people to pitch and sell shows, which is great. You're not held to rest to like these networks that have like a specific legacy or idea of what should be on versus like, yeah, let's take a shot, you know.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's not as precious.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, excuse me. Well, you're in another particular position that I find interesting. Like, for sure, it's fun to talk about the cultural side, the projects that are out there, and all that stuff. But like on a technical side, which is interesting from your perspective, you've been in the industry at a point where you came in and you were taught and you were doing things by hand on a regular show, and then you've gone through the transition to the digitization of the animator itself. Could you maybe tell people about that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I started working in the animation industry in 2009. And in fact, most shows were being done digitally, drawn on Cintiqs. And there were like a few holdouts, you know, there were a few shows that were like, no, we're still doing this, you know, like the traditional way.
Yeah.
And it was certainly super fun and romantic to draw everything on paper. And it's just like, yeah, this is what I imagined it would be, you know, and this is exactly what I wanted it to be. That being said, there's nothing like having the immediacy of an undo button for a line that you put down that you don't like or doesn't work.
A lot less skin in the game on it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, let's just hit undo. Nobody will see that.
How much faster do you think it makes the process?
I think it makes it faster. You could argue that you get a little less life out of the drawing because the computer, there's so many tool functions and presets to make it look pretty and have the line quality look perfect. But there's something to a style that doesn't look perfect, that's unique and charming. Like, it looks handmade, which visually is very satisfying. To know that somebody actually put the time and effort to like make something. And there's no right or wrong, you know. It just depends on the style of the show and what they're aiming for.
Yeah, more like a matter of taste almost.
Yeah. Like the film that we recently watched, Point.
Yeah, The Point.
It's very scratchy, almost like Schoolhouse Rock style, which is very visually pleasing, you know.
Yeah. It's an animated feature by Fred Wolf from the 70s. story of a boy who is born in a town where everybody has points on their head and everybody has a point, and the boy is anomalous and he's born without a point. He's born with a round head. So they take him out in the pointless forest, goes on a series of adventures, and returns with wisdom, narrated by Ringo Starr. Fantastic example of 70s animation cinema.
Yeah. And a lot of Russian animation has a unique quality about it too.
How would you describe that?
It's kind of in that same line of like almost scratchy, almost UPA, almost very bold, simple, beautiful, I mean, that's the cool thing about animation is it can look like anything you want it to.
Anything you want. It's pretty nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the animation as a real effect on my life. For sure, like I got introduced to it as a kid, and it's been a really healthy part of my life, and it makes very complex concepts very palatable. And it allows me to see things, transformations of things, in a way that I can't really observe in real life, which is cool because, like as I got older, I realized that surrealism, which I think animation is, any piece of animation is surrealism. Like it's all surreal.
Yeah.
It's like you're actually entering the surreal realm when you enter into animation. Is that one of its chief strengths is that you're always dealing with it's all symbolism and it's all like Jungian constructs.
Yeah.
So anything that you commit to animation is necessarily going to have like a deeper impact in the psyche of the viewer,
Right.
than in really any other form.
Right.
And as I got older, and the effects of having seen this much animation in my life, because let's face it, like we're first world people. We're in this highly consumer lifestyle, which is fine, but we consume a ton of media and we consume a ton of information, as opposed to like an Aboriginal guy who's like not seeing a lot of cartoons.
Yeah. You actually just made me think they did discover some cave paintings, I want to say in Spain, that actually when you hold a torch up to it, the flickering of the light, they actually drew it so to where it would animate on the wall.
Wow.
I'd have to cross-reference, but yeah, I remember reading that a few years ago.
So they had their own glitch wall.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe that answers the previous question of the origins of it might actually be cave people.
Yeah.
Might have just been figured out the light play.
They were already doing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a side conversation about. I'll throw this in there. When and I recommend this for anybody at home too. Is look into human origins, because we're all humans, Homo sapiens, and it will unlock things for yourself as it's unlocked for me and other people to do this. Look into the pre-village, what do you call the Paleolithic man or whatever, before we got into agriculture and stuff, when we're still nomadic, and realize that those people, they were every bit as intelligent on the inside as we are as modern people. They just use their intelligence to develop their Homo sapien talents and abilities in conformance with what their infrastructure and environment was. But they're every bit as intelligent as us.
Yeah.
So when you see something like, oh yeah, they figured out some animation,
Yeah.
That's good to know. In fact, a friend of mine, he's an expert on this, he was telling us that era of man, in the hunter-gatherer era, it only took about 15 to 20 hours a week of actual work to secure food and shelter. 15 to 20 hours a week. So next time somebody's at your work telling you need to work harder, be like, before we had all these buildings, we only had to work 15 to 20 hours a week. Things got done just fine. And it turns out that the vast majority of the rest of the time was spent creating culture and entertainment.
Nice.
Which is funny because you don't think about the cave people are sitting around trying to figure out shows.
Yeah.
They're the earliest pitch meetings for
Caveman
cavemen.
pitches.
Caveman pitches. They're just sitting around they're like, no, I got this torch. Look, I drew this thing on the wall. I got a torch. It's a whole thing. It's gonna sweep all the caves. We're gonna sweep Caves Week.
But who is your audience? Is it the 6 to 12 demographic, or is it the 18 to 33?
Pretty good.
Simultaneously while shitting themselves.
He just like stubs out the torch. He's like, back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So there's that, right? And then there was a book. Okay, so I sidetracked this. Yeah. So they had the caves and the thing, and then like what were we talking about right before that?
I have no idea.
Damn, that's my job to keep track of that shit too. Yeah. So like back to the animated world. Yeah. So they unlock these. Oh, okay. So the impact of having watched all this animation over these years, right?
Yeah.
And we'll get back into the other like fun things about it, but like what I realized is probably like 5 years ago it started happening, but it's been accelerating lately. And paired with the use of like properly used and copious amounts of psychedelic drugs to unlock like my imagination and a lot of my higher brain functions, I'm starting to actually be able to see animation in real life. And what I mean by that is like even like simple things like clouds. Like a lot of us, we'll see cloud shapes in the skies. Right? That's one level of awareness where we start to realize, oh, there's like I'm projecting or I'm seeing clouds or forms or shapes or whatever.
Yeah.
And then as I got deeper in animation, I started taking it more seriously and allowing it to affect how I actually see the world, not just consume it, but like allow it to actually change whatever's going in. I started to realize that a cloud, a lot of times the clouds, they would start off as a shape or a form or whatever, and then if I watched them long enough with an open mind and open eyes, my man, that I could actually see them naturally be animated by the wind. And it blew my mind to start watching it. And I would just start sitting there and watching clouds. And it wasn't just like, it wouldn't just be like, oh, hey, here's a dog's head, and it's like going. I mean, at first it would be that, but like sometimes I'd watch and be like a dog's head, and then there'd be like a thing it was chasing, and then it would be like into even like another scene.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like a rant, it was like a whole sitch.
Yeah. And you take that and you apply it to observing art, and you realize, oh, we're all just projecting.
That's true. That's actually a really good point, because like, so I started viewing abstract art differently because of animation. And early, like I remember when I was a kid, I grew up middle class, so I didn't know a lot of these higher functions weren't available to me because I was busy trying to like think middle class thoughts and eat cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
And
play some Nintendo.
Yeah, play some Nintendo. And and I remember that one's gonna cost a few $100.
Crunch.
Yeah, save 20% or more with Geico and better driving. Yeah, so I go middle class, and so I'd see these like films, right? In the films, you see like all the rich people looking at art, like abstract art, and they're just like enthralled for 10 minutes of just like.
Yeah.
And then at some point, as I got older and I did all this evolution or whatever, I finally got to a point where, okay, I can stand myself in front of an abstract painting, and this is like fairly recently, but animation helped a lot. Of like, I stand there and like one of those magic 3D eye pixelated things, I stand in front of an abstract piece of art. I open my eyes, let my third eye open up, and I just like really, really like keep myself steady, stare into it, and then the depth of the painting would open up, like legit depth of like, whoa, how did that happen? And then most of the time, like animation actually starts to happen on the abstract paintings.
Yeah.
They somehow the real artist actually put it in there, but it's just like it's on me as the viewer to allow my mind and my imagination to animate the seemingly still canvas.
Right.
And to me, that's like one of the best gifts that I've gotten from being a consumer of animation or like a spectator, is that it's actually animated my mind, like allowed my imagination to open up.
Yeah. It's all a matter of perception, and at some point the art becomes a mirror, especially in regards to abstract. I remember when I was younger, I used to look at abstract art and get angry because I felt like there wasn't a lot of effort put into it. And then, fast forward 10 years and I have hundreds of, thousands of hours, countless hours of drawing and just drawing so much to where when I look at art, like a really dense piece, like let's say like a Frazetta or, you name it, to where if I'm not in the right mood, I can get visually exhausted looking at something like that. Now it's still incredible, But I just imagine the artists on the other side and the amount of hours and effort that they had to put into that piece, which is incredible. To then go to an abstract piece where I can just like, this is nice. You know, it's like, it's all a matter of perspective, like how it affects you. So
that's true. Yeah, because it's whatever's inside you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, now that to put it in more concrete terms, like, yeah, if somebody sits down and they're a child of a divorce, and a divorce movie's going to tear them up, and, you know, if you're just like, came from a happy home and you watch one, it's like, oh, that was a fine drama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pretty simple, I guess. So animation's deep, Holmes.
It's home. Yeah. It's Holmes.
It's deep, Holmes. You know what I'm saying? I do know what you're saying.
It's deep, dude.
It's deep. Animation's deep.
It's deep.
It gets presented as a childlike, friendly thing, but maybe it should be in the behind 30 section of the video store.
Well, they do have that section.
They do have that section. They definitely have it. I remember. Okay.
There's a niche market for that.
There is a niche market. Yeah. Getting all, was that hentai and all that, like.
Yeah, you got like a bunch of underground comic books too.
Underground comic books. Yeah, it definitely lends itself to like masking a lot of revolutionary and anarchistic ideologies, and I mean, really any medium does, but like you can really visually express it really well. I remember the first heavy film like that I ever saw that was animated was Heavy Metal. And if you haven't seen Heavy Metal, it's like super classic of the genre from the 70s. It's this amazing independent meditation on darkness and evil going through different eras of man, and they lucked out. They had this anomaly where they asked all these major metal bands basically at the time for a free song for the soundtrack, thinking like they probably weren't going to get anything back, and they ended up with this incredible all-star soundtrack that just has propelled this thing through the culture for like 4 or 5 decades now.
Yeah.
But that movie was so dark, so loaded with like revolutionary ideology and like liberation ideology and deep meditations on all the depths of everything. That was like where I crossed over it from going from like childlike animation spectator or whatever, audience member, to like, oh, this is really packing a punch.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And it was I found it very disturbing. It was like there was a definite loss of innocence.
Yeah.
I think with that film.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like psychosexual.
Yeah.
Hyper-violent.
Psychosexual, hyper-violent, fetishized darkness.
Yeah, science fiction.
Science fiction.
Yeah. I've only seen the film once, so I have to revisit it. Give it a proper breakdown.
Yeah. I'd like to get your breakdown on that. That'd be cool. But the early 70s had a lot of like animators like that, Blaschke and
Ralph Bakshi.
Yes. My bad.
Yeah. Yes, I love Fire and Ice. The Bakshi Frazetta team up. It's so good.
What do you like most about it?
It just satisfies like, I don't know, it satisfies like this part of me that wants like barbarians and like fantasy and just like bloodlust and, you know, sexy women, and it's so satisfying.
Just primacy and savagery.
Yeah.
It's a good combination.
It's a great combination. And just to know that there is a studio full of people working on something like that is a great feeling.
Just a true pirate ship somewhere out there.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good deep view on things.
Yeah.
I like that. That's cool. Yeah. Not what was going on with Miyazaki.
Just chain smoking.
And
getting angry at cats.
Getting angry at cats.
To do nothing.
Being king of his own little mystical realm.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Miyazaki's the Japanese, they call him Steven Spielberg of like Japanese animation, or the Walt Disney of Japanese, whatever you want to call him. He's a super duper master, and all of his films are phenomenal, and there's basically not a single bad thing you can possibly say about the guy, except for the fact that he gets angry at cats, which to some people is a positive thing.
Yeah. No, I don't think he's not genuinely mad. He's just enjoying the cat in his own unique way.
He's enjoying the cat in his own unique way.
Yeah.
His film. Do you have a favorite Miyazaki film?
Yeah, Princess Mononoke is definitely my favorite Miyazaki film. I think maybe because it was the first Miyazaki film I'd ever seen, so it was a strong introduction to his work.
Oh yeah.
And it's a beautiful film.
Yeah, because he really like just created he just went all out mythology.
Yeah.
Like that's straight. That's like straight heroes mythology. He throws everything in there on that one.
Yeah.
And it's so beautifully done.
And the action sequences are just pristine. They're so beautiful.
Yeah. Like what's the opening sequences with like the pigs or the wild boar or something
Yeah.
coming in, and it's just like I've never seen like I've been with wild boar in nature, and he like directly transposed how like it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Like helpless and like brutal and primal and just like whoa.
Yeah.
But then he also has that, but then he also has like the light touch to make everything so whimsical, and he brings everything to life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's truly unique. Yeah, it's beautiful. Miyazaki. Who
are some people that like you love that other people might not know about? Or just even projects or anything.
God, I think most people would know them, huh? I'm trying to think. Right now, I'm thinking I'm still like riding high from Gendy Tartakovsky's Primal.
That's fantastic.
This is great. I don't know, miniseries. It's fantastic. I think most people would know who he is. Dexter's Lab, the Clone Wars series.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. I'm trying to think who else. My brain just doesn't want to work right now.
If you haven't seen that Clone Wars series that he's referring to, the Cartoon Network received the rights to do a run of the Clone Wars in their 2D animated style back in like 06, was it? Somewhere in 03, 06, somewhere in the 2000s.
Actually, it might have been earlier than that. I think 2000, I want to say 2003.
2003,
yeah.
And it predates the CGI one.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's an officially licensed Star Wars canon Clone Wars that they did, and it is phenomenal. Like if you haven't seen it, you can find it on YouTube where they put together the whole seasons, and it's basically like it's in a movie with all the episodes they released. And if you're a Star Wars fan, it is absolutely worth your time to sit down and watch it. And honestly, it's more satisfying than any of the sequels or prequels that they put out. Like this thing is like legit, especially if you love cartoons. Just putting that out there. So you're Ben Adams. You're deep in the game. You're deep out here doing the thing. You're doing the thing. Do you have any advice for people, like kids out there? Anybody who wants to get into animation? Any tips? Got any tips?
Got tips. I got a point. Dreams can be distilled into goals, and goals can be separated into achieve like points that you need to go to. So if you know your goal is X, then just fill out the formula. Start building your portfolio, start drawing in sketchbooks, take life drawing classes, study animation, read, interview people.
What would you say to a kid who they're in high school or whatever, they're drawing a lot in their books, they start to get some like, hey, I think I draw well.
Yeah.
Right? And they're trying to find some like outside perspective or support to confirm that they can draw.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point you kind of have to like go to your parent for like their like loan approval, like
some kind of guidance.
You got to submit your, hey, mom or dad, like, look, I can draw. Could you give me your support for this?
Yeah.
How did that happen for you? Like, how did your parents find out that you had talent?
I'm lucky that I have super supportive parents. My dad always joked that if I wanted to be a ballerina, he'd buy me a tutu. So I was super lucky in that regard, and I understand like some people aren't. But
was there a particular drawing that you saw, or like what? How did that come to his awareness that you could draw that well?
Well, my dad was a draftsman, so he would do building schematics and then on the side he would do like his own comics, so he was an artist himself, and he always had drawing materials around, so I just naturally grew up drawing. And then I think at some point, he recognized that I had a little bit of talent, and then my parents just started funneling me into the right classes and courses to take, the right people to talk to, so yeah, they were a tremendous help. Like, in fact, in my high school years, I was kind of floundering at this high school I was going to. I was kind of just aimlessly going through the motion.
Yeah, like a normal academic high school.
Yeah, like there wasn't anything there for me, but I had an interest in the animation, and it turns out there was an adjacent high school that actually had an animation class, and when my mom discovered that, she's like, I think we should switch you here because this could be like a serious, career option for yourself if you take it seriously,
Wow. And what year was that? Like
so
high school?
2000. I made the switch in 2003.
So were you like a freshman in high school or something when she realized that, or?
I was towards the end of the sophomore year.
So you switched high schools halfway through.
Halfway.
For animation.
Yeah.
With your parents' guidance, your mom saw it.
Yeah.
You switched halfway through high school.
Yeah.
That's a big deal in the high school experience. So just like sophomore year, you're like, well, I'm just gonna peace out to another high school.
I guess so. I guess it was the lesser of two evils, because I was gonna hate high school no matter what.
I think that's high school's primary function is a repository of hate.
Yeah. There was a certain amount of suffering to be had in high school. That's just to be understood, So I could either do it and not have anything enjoyable, or I could still suffer a little bit and have some animation classes.
Okay.
So that helped.
So you got the suffering mainly out of the way by sophomore year.
Yeah.
And then basically an animation calling came in for you.
Yeah. I got my license, got my first car, Chevy El Camino.
Uh-oh.
I was rolling into the new high school, baby.
Badass Ben Adams. He's from the Delta. He lives on a houseboat on the river.
Oh yeah, there's that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a whole other story.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
That's funny. So what was the name of that high school that had the animation?
Sheldon High School. And the teacher, he's still teaching there. Sean Sullivan, fantastic teacher, favorite teacher.
Here, here's to you, Sean.
I hope my other teachers don't hear that. Favorite teacher, Sean Sully.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And then,
so some advice. Like if you're interested in animation, you're naturally going to be gravitated towards the things that are going to get you where you want to go, right? So the things you can do for yourself, make some films, experiment with animation first, see if it's a lifestyle that agrees with you, because you don't want to be down the road 10, 20, 30 years later and look back and have all these regrets.
Yeah.
So I would encourage somebody who is passively interested to not get into it, because there's a lot of sacrifice and compromises that you have to make to do it. I would say if you're very serious and passionate about doing it, then pursue it, And there are a ton of options to get you into the industry. You can go to a 4-year college like I did, or you could pursue online courses and just reach out to industry professionals. What do I have to do to get in? How do I get my foot in the door? And it's not an easy door to get into.
No, it's a fairly small industry as industries go.
Yeah.
But it's also, I think there's a misconception that it's only located in Los Angeles.
Yeah, no, there's spots out in the Bay. There's places in Canada, New York, and all over the world, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
Yeah, tips and tricks.
tips and tricks.
It's not a skateboarding trick, that's for sure.
That's fantastic. Well, I guess that'll wrap her up.
All right.
Well, thanks for being here, Ben. This is my friend and guest, Ben
Yes.
Adams.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure here at Coffree with John, and I hope everybody out there enjoyed this. And follow your dreams, be a good person, and good things will happen. So enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.